Well, good evening, everyone. We're going to get started now. I think we have all the counselors, council-elect, and all our judges here. So we'll get started. My name is Klarissa Peña. I'm City Councilor for District 3. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. I'm City Councilor for District 3. That's everything south of Central, west of the river. And I'm currently the president of the City Council, and I'm honored to be here for this swearing-in ceremony. So please let us stand for the presentation of colors by the Albuquerque Police Honor Guard. So we will now have the national anthem sung by Robyn Christian. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land and of the free, and the home of the brave. Wasn't that incredible? She's an amazing singer. So the pledge will be led by Albuquerque City Councilor Brad Winter.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The invocation this evening will be delivered by Pastor Lyle Reece.
Let us pray. God in heaven, we find ourselves at a very important evening in the life and the history of our great city. We're gathered that we may commit to each other and to you to be a blessing to the people that call Albuquerque their community. We have individuals that will stand this evening on the platform and pledge themselves to service and to the benefit of the people of this city. So empower each one, Lord, this evening to fulfill the duty and perform the great task of leadership as well as servanthood in the coming year. Empower their actions, Lord. Inform their minds and quicken their hearts for the tasks that lie ahead. Bless all of their endeavors and enable them to take delight, great joy in their role over the next year. May they delight in each other's company in a healthy and a balanced collaboration. Please, God, enable each of them to not fall into the ditch of partisanship and struggling against each other. Help each one sworn in this evening to place a high value not only on the life of their partners in this governance, but a high value on their views, be they different or the same as their own understanding. Enable each of these representatives of our communities to be effective and cordial and accurate in representing the hopes and the desires of their constituents. Be a part of the proceedings this evening, and may all that we do tonight and in the many days ahead bring you honor and reflect your divine providence for this great city. Be present also with the Sanchez family tonight and in the coming months, as they particularly feel the loss of Ken, their father, their grandfather, their uncle, and a public servant to us all. Bring them the comfort that only you can, and lead to them the people who can listen and console, heal, and love on them in the way that Ken would want them loved on and taken care of. May the spirit of Ken's leadership and the value of everyone he worked with be an example to all who sit on this council. So we are asking for your presence and for your providence this evening as we rejoice in what you can do through these fine people and servants of our city, Albuquerque. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Please be seated. So tonight we're here to celebrate the success of and the swearing in of the counselors we have here this evening, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Counselor Sanchez. So I would like to take a moment to remember our dear friend and colleague, Counselor Ken Sanchez, who passed away on New Year's Day. Ken was a true public servant and a great leader who served the community and the city with dignity and honor. He was a cornerstone of this council for 14 years, sponsoring over 1,100 bills during his tenure and serving as the leader of the council as its president on 3 separate occasions. He also served as City Council Vice President, as the Chair of Finance and Government Operations Committee, and as the Chair of the City Council's Committee of the Whole for the city's annual budget process on various occasions throughout his tenure. He served in all these roles with both efficiency and grace. He is well known at the City Council for his sharpness on the dais and for how quickly and effectively he could move through the more day-to-day business of the council. His actions and presence on this council leave a long legacy for the city and the West Side in particular. He was instrumental in so many projects, too many to name here today. But the short list of the ones that I know he was very proud of include his work to establish the Patrick J. Library at Unser Central, the West Mesa Aquatic Center at West Mesa High School, the Jennifer Reardon Sparks Kindness Regional Sports Complex, the Albuquerque Fire Station 7 at 57th and Central, economic development projects like Netflix and Topgolf. Councillor Sanchez was also a champion of public safety and government accountability. He was an outspoken champion for the full funding and recruitment within the Albuquerque Police Department, a vital first step in continuing our pursuit of enhanced public safety for residents. He not only wanted to fill all of our first responder positions, he also ensured that these brave men and women were taken care of. And to this end, he championed initiatives like ensuring the availability of military leave for our first responders who may be called to active duty. His legislation also established the City Inspector's General Office, which is intended to promote accountability within city government. And even more recently, he worked toward improved ethics standards for city officials. His voice and pointed inquiries will also be missed when it comes to the city's budget and financial dealings. On a more personal note, one of the many things that I really love about Ken, almost every time he spoke, whether it was at council or in the community or to the media, he would always start by saying, "I truly believe." I would give him so much grief about it every time. What does that mean? Well, for Ken, it meant exactly that. He spoke from the heart and truly believed that this city was and is the most remarkable place on earth, and that together, through inclusiveness and compromise, we would make this city a better place. If there was an accomplishment to be celebrated, he wanted everyone to be involved, to be there with him to take credit. If the council was going to take on a good initiative, he wanted all of his colleagues and staff with him that came through in his openness and kindness and his ability to work across party lines. And because of that, I truly believe we are all better because of it. But even with all of his contributions at the city of Albuquerque, his legacy would be incomplete without mentioning his family, which he recently cited as his life's greatest reward. I would like to acknowledge and offer the deepest condolences of the city council to his other half, Cynthia, to his entire extended family, and his analyst, his best friend, his general right-hand woman, Elaine Romero, who have all joined us today. Ken would not have missed this ceremony for the world, but I know that he is here in spirit, and I am so honored that we can be joined by his greatest reward, his family. I think everyone in Albuquerque knows Ken. Some know him as an elected official. Most know Ken, though, because he either took your family pictures or did your taxes. Ken made us all feel like familia. He was always concerned with people's well-being, and he would have done anything to make sure his friends, staff, and colleagues were taken care of like his own family. So to all of you out there who are missing him, and I know there are a lot, we hold you in our thoughts and in our prayers. Let's celebrate his life and let's honor his legacy through the way we live our lives, with dedication to doing the right thing, with accountability, and by taking care of each other like family. I truly believe. Thank you. So, let's not forget that tonight is about celebrating our counselors and their hard work to get elected and to be here today. So, at this time, I would like to begin by a counselor who will be leaving the council. after a long time and a long career. Councilor Brad Winter, he's retiring this year. After graduating from Highland High School in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Brad continued on to New Mexico Junior College in Hobbs, New Mexico, where he received an Associate's in Arts in 1972. He received his bachelor's at the University of Oklahoma in 1976. Brad continued on to complete his master's at the University of New Mexico in 1979 and his doctorate of education at the University of New Mexico in 1995. He began his career in education as a professor at New Mexico Junior College. Brad Winter then commenced a 22-year career with the Albuquerque Public Schools. After his retirement as Chief Operations Officer, Brad was named Interim Superintendent by the Albuquerque Public Schools Board of Education from August 2014 to June 2015. Brad served 5 terms, elected in 1999 as the Albuquerque City Councilor. He served as councilor president 4 times during his tenure. And on December 15, 2015, he was appointed by Governor Martinez to serve as the interim Secretary of State for the state of New Mexico, making him the first man to have the job since 1922. It is with great honor and pride that I introduce our outgoing counselor, Mr. Brad Winter.
Oh, thank you all very much. And I know this is not about me, but it was really nice my colleagues let me have a few minutes to say some thank yous after these 20 years. It all started in 1999. I can remember I was an assistant principal at La Cueva High School, and I never dreamed that 20 years later I'd be sitting here right now getting ready to walk out the door. But I want to thank some folks. I worked in those 20 years with 34 different counselors. And there's way too many to name them, but it was quite an experience working with these different counselors. I also had the pleasure of working with 4 mayors. So Martin Chavez, Jim Baca, R.J. Berry, and the current mayor, Tim Keller. And I just want to thank them and all their service and their road to this great city that we live in. And I also want to thank my policy analysts. In the 20 years I had 4, and city councilors know that they're only good as their policy analysts are. And they work very, very closely with them. I started with Diana Trehecki in 1999, and I don't know if you remember, Sam Bregman used to be the city councilor here, and she had worked for him. And then she left, and then I had Jessica Kelly, who worked in the mayor's office, then Rebecca Burt, who was a second-grade teacher who came to work for me, and then my last one that's worked with me till the end is Dawn Marie. And I tell you, I'll say a couple words about Dawn Marie. Is we really became a team with our constituents. When anybody thought of me, they thought of Dawn Marie and vice versa. I can remember sitting in a coalition meeting, and they had asked me a question, and so I was answering this question. Dawn Marie was by me. I got halfway through it, and then Dawn Marie answered the rest of the question for me. And so I said, well, I appreciate you saying what I was going to say, but please just say it when I'm not there. So anyway, she's been fabulous, and we have been a team. And I want to thank also our council family, and that's all the folks that work in the council office. They are absolutely fantastic. Every time I would come to the office, everybody's smiling, everybody's happy, and everybody is prepared for that council meeting. It is amazing, all the work they have to do to run a council meeting. So really want to thank them. And then we also want to thank our District 4 Coalition and our neighborhood associations in District 4. When I first started, District 4 coalitions, neighborhoods, and they were one of the most powerful coalitions in the city. And one thing that they do is they kept their city councilor accountable to them. So if I had a vote and I went to them, a lot of times they'd go, well, you need to explain that vote to us, Councilor Winter. And so they were fabulous to work with and just did a great job. And just to say a few words about this administration, the Tim Keller administration, I want to thank them for being so fair and working with me. They've been there, and I'm telling you, the directors have been great. Anytime we needed something in District 4, the directors would work very, very closely with this. So that is very much appreciated. And then getting to finally, I just feel very honored to have served with Councilor Ken Sanchez. We worked 14 years together, and he worked as 8 years as a county commissioner and then came over. And Ken was one of the good guys. He was one of the great men who was also a great elected official. When you looked at Ken and looked at all the qualities he had, they were the qualities our constituents would want in a public servant. And so I just know I'm going to miss him. The city council's going to miss him. The city's going to miss him, and the West Side is too. He loved Albuquerque and was a champion for it. Then finally, I want to say a few words about our current council. That includes Councilor Sanchez. I don't know if it's because I'm the end, but I feel very close to this council. It was one of my favorite councils that I've worked in, and I was very proud. There was 4 seats up this time, and 3 of the councilors were reelected, and then I retired, and we got a new council-elect. But you know, everybody worked together. You can be proud of the government here, the type of government we have. It's nonpartisan, and I believe whether you're Republican, progressive, or whatever, everybody works together. They compromise so that they do what's best for Albuquerque. And lastly, I want to thank and just acknowledge Brook Bassan. She came to me early and said she wanted to run, and I said stupidly, well, I might run again. And when I figured out that wasn't a good idea, I supported her, and she's going to be fabulous for District 4. So I want to wish her luck and know that she will just keep continuing. And thank you all very much for being here tonight. I appreciate everybody's support that the council has. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. So now I'd like to recognize some important people in the audience. Mayor Tim Keller, are you here? Cynthia Borrego, City Councilor, District 5. Diane Gibson, District 7. Commissioner Debbie O'Malley. And Mr. Mark Sanchez, Director of the Albuquerque Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority. Where are you? I can't see you. Councillor Don Harris, District 9. The City of Albuquerque directors that we have here this evening, if you could all please stand up. So we'd like to send it off and really start off this celebration. So I'd like to introduce our entertainment for this evening. Please welcome Mariachi Tenampa. Welcome. Thank you. So I'd like to introduce the judges that will be swearing in the counselors this evening. The Honorable Miles Hanisee, Chief Judge of the New Mexico Supreme Court of Appeals. The Honorable Stan Whitaker, Chief Judge of Second Judicial Court. The Honorable Judith K. Nakamura, Chief Justice of the New Mexico Supreme Court. Thank you. We also have Ethan Watson, who is the acting city clerk of the city of Albuquerque and will attest to the signing of the official city oath of office. So first, we have Counselor Isaac Benton, representing District 2, and was elected to the 5th term in office, and he is accompanied by his wife, Elaine Benton. Counselor Benton will be sworn in by the Honorable Stan Whitaker, Chief Judge of the Second Judicial Court.
Put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand for me. Repeat after me. I, Isaac Benton,
I, Isaac Benton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution
to uphold the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America
and the laws of the United States of America
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the State of New
of
Mexico.
the State of New Mexico.
I furthermore do solemnly swear
I furthermore do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and sincerely
and sincerely
perform my duties
perform my duties
as a public servant
as a public servant
of the people of the City of Albuquerque,
of the people of City of Albuquerque,
New Mexico,
New Mexico,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, congratulations.
Okay.
Isaac, I'm going to have you sign first. And then have you sign. Thanks, Judge. Welcome.
I think they're going to let me speak. Try to keep it short. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending tonight. And as was already noted, our celebration this year is tempered somewhat by the loss of Councilor Ken Sanchez, a dear friend. And so much has been said about what a great leader he has been to the city. And so, and a great colleague and friend to all of us up here, and to so many of you. Please keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers. I'm pleased to take the oath to continue to serve our great city, which is a place I've made much of my life in and I love dearly. This election campaign was unprecedented in the number of candidates and its duration. And so I want to thank all of the people who pitched in. We had over 150 volunteers who pitched into our campaign, and I really want to thank them. Many of them are here in the audience tonight, so thank you so much that came back again and again to knock on doors and to call, and it's humbling to have had so many lovely people support us. I also want to thank many of the respected organizations who supported our candidacy, including the Sierra Club, Working Families Party, OLE, Equality New Mexico, Animal Protection Voters, the AFSCME Union, our rank and file city workers, the electrical workers, carpenters, and the Central Labor Council. And importantly, I want to acknowledge our excellent campaign team. And first and foremost, my dear wife, Elaine, who took on a huge responsibility and stepped in as a volunteer coordinator, along with so many other tasks, and making wonderful breakfasts every morning that the volunteers showed up, and just was fantastic. And her sunny outlook helped the campaign and helps me every day of my life. And I'm so lucky to have her in my life and to have her on my side. Our campaign manager, the big league campaign manager, I consider, and the biggest big league campaign manager of New Mexico, and that's Nettie Olguin. Nettie kept us on track and with strategy and everything we needed to do to get across the finish line in this very, very competitive campaign, from strategy to messaging and so many other important issues that she dealt with. And her relationships in our community were so important to the success of the campaign. Karina Feldman managed our field and data. Brandon Padilla did our media strategy, and Patrick Baca our field launches, and much more. So thanks to each of you. And now it's time to get back to the full-time work of the city. It's kind of tough serving as a city councilor and running a crazy campaign like this one. So I'm glad to be back in the regular trenches and out of those trenches. I think everyone in this room who cared to come down and join us tonight understands the great qualities of our city, including our culture, our unique sense of place, our unique arts, and both performing and visual arts, and of course our climate and the many great things we're doing with tourism and visitor economy, the film industry and development of solar energy in the city, and we'll continue to build on those strengths. But when you're in a campaign like this one, and I think probably any campaign, what we hear the most of at the forums and door-to-door and talking to constituents on the phone are the challenges of Albuquerque. I want to speak about those briefly tonight. And the top of that list, I think every volunteer that knocked on doors or phoned for us will agree that crime and homelessness and the issues of addiction and the issues of the climate emergency were the top on that list, the list of concerns of our constituents in District 2. And I think to overcome those challenges, those first top two challenges of poverty and homelessness and crime, we have to really look at equity in the city and poverty in the city. It was announced or reported in the Journal this morning that 1/4 of our children in Albuquerque live in poverty, live in a family qualifying as poor. And most of them are being cared for by either one parent or a grandparent. The plurality of the census poll noted that. And I think that's really important to note when we talk about the issues of homelessness and also addiction and crime, that the breakdown of the families due to poverty and due to a legacy of poverty in many families is what is allowing that family breakdown that in turn leads to these challenges of society. And so I think what we have to do to address this is to become a more equitable city. First and foremost, we have to make the strongest possible commitment to early childhood education. The city's only indirectly involved in the education business, but we have to partner with APS and the state and the county with regard to early childhood education. Those programs help the caregivers, whoever they may be, help the kids to succeed and to overcome the challenges that they have in a household suffering from poverty. And that kind of work that at early childhood, of course, can continue through K through 12 and on. but we've really got to tackle the early childhood challenge early. And then another city commitment to equity needs to be the reinvestment in our oldest and most underinvested neighborhoods. And they're all over the city. These are some of the city neighborhoods that give us our great character, yet they've been left behind in the rapid growth of the last century and early part of this century. And we've got to return to those neighborhoods and help them rebuild, whether it's their housing or their infrastructure, their streets, their transportation. We need to serve them better with public transportation and with other forms of mobility than the burden of owning 2 or 3 cars in their household. In these neighborhoods, we can also incentivize healthier and locally produced food. This is something that the city can really help with, and we're doing some of this kind of work already with some of the micro-entrepreneurship and the building of a local food economy. But the modernized infrastructure and the ability to safely get around and in and out of these neighborhoods, and then of course the housing rehabilitation is a key to the long-term survival of the neighborhoods themselves. A lot of people are abandoning the neighborhoods because houses are deteriorated, and we have not done enough as a city with our housing rehabilitation program. But I do want to mention our own workforce housing trust fund, which is something that Commissioner O'Malley and I started years ago and has built over 1,200 homes in the last 10 years. And under Mayor Keller, I really want to give a nod to him. He proposed a much higher budget for workforce housing in this recent bond package that was approved by the voters. And I really hope we can continue to use that to build housing and double the production. I think we're capable of doubling the production of housing in the city of Albuquerque, and including rehabilitation of old housing. And this is just the beginning. We should be rehabilitating nuisance properties for workforce housing, but also for the challenge of supportive housing for people suffering from behavioral disabilities. In November, the voters also approved the capital program for a homeless shelter or shelters, and we do have an excellent, what I call a galaxy of nonprofit providers for the homeless and for people suffering from behavioral disorders. We can help them build their capacity to permanently house people and get them off the streets while providing services in their homes. As far as the environment and sustainability, we all know that the environment is changing in New Mexico, and that the climate emergency is a reality. It's getting hotter here. We can do our part in a number of ways. I mentioned transportation. Public transportation, of course, and alternative mobility choices are key to solving the issue of climate change and to prepare us for a better future with climate. We also can, with our building stock, we're in a position as a city, every city's in a position to have a stronger building energy codes. Building energy along with transportation are the biggest contributors to the climate crisis. So I'm working on a modern building energy code with the administration. We're going to move forward on fully implementing that. Also, a lot of discussion over the campaign about the development ordinance that was passed 2 years ago, the integrated development ordinance, which is a zoning reform. We've got to move forward, and we've got to continue to implement that. That's the only way we can help revitalize our corridors, and in terms of the not only equity for housing, provide housing and more density along the corridors that will help us be more sustainable as a city. It's much more sustainable to have dense corridors in our urban centers and the major corridors. So we need to move forward with that IDO. everyone here believes in this city. I know, and I want to work with you on that as we go forward. These are some of the things that I've worked on over the years and will continue to. But I wanted to address those challenges, and but also as we celebrate what a great city we have, and we do have the ability to move forward and be more competitive as a city in the United States. But I urge you to join me and work towards those goals. And thanks everyone for being here tonight and for your support.
Next, we have Brook Bassan. She begins her first term as city councilor in District 4. She is accompanied by her husband, Ori, and her children, Ethan, Molly, Luke, and Zach.
So, place your left hand on the Bible. Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. I, Brook Bassan,
I, Brook Bassan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution
to uphold the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America
and the laws of the United States of America
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the State of New Mexico.
of the State of New Mexico.
I furthermore
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially,
and sincerely perform my duties
as a public servant
of the people
of the city of Albuquerque,
New Mexico,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You're going to sign for me, Zach?
I'll trade you.
Thank you. I'm going to use my new iPad. Thank you so much to everyone for coming tonight. It's a precious commodity time, and all of you chose to spend it here to celebrate the 4 city councilors that are going to represent Albuquerque. There's so many people that I want to thank and that I owe a debt of gratitude. First, I looked at my mom. First and foremost, to God and to my family, who have always supported me throughout my life. I'm especially thankful for the support of my mother, Madeline Vinalia, my father, Timothy Sims, and my bonus mom, Rochelle Sims. I have to thank my husband, Ori Bassan, for calling me back and for being my partner in life, my 4 beautiful children, Ethan, Molly, Luke, and Zach. I want to thank my brother, Sean Johnson, and his wife, Chris, and my niece, Alex, my younger brother, Timmy Sims, Cassandra, his wife, their sons, Cooper and Cutter, daughters, Kaylee, Donna, and Maria. A special thank you to my sister and my treasurer, Don Kerner, and my nephews, Kyle and Braden. I also appreciate the support given to me by my aunt and uncle, Giovanna and Dan Morning, as well as my uncle Frank Vinalia and Trey Vinalia. I definitely would not be up here today speaking to you without the support and encouragement of Councilor Brad Winter, or the incredible efforts put forth by my campaign manager, Megan McMillan, and consultant, Jay McCluskey. I want to thank Robert Godshall, Abraham Kivan Chavez and Rebecca Rose for spending their weekends with me knocking on thousands of neighbors' doors. I'm so very thankful to all the moms and dads in my village who helped support me. Joanna Fair, the Breens, Stacy Smith and Luke Lujan, the Lathams, Kristen Underwood and Rob Lavoie, Ricky and Brendan Smith, the Taylors, Edwards, Ronchettis, Thompsons, Twigs, Stetsons, Garcias, and Joe Rose, and Ann Rose. There's so many other supporters to which I owe thanks, too numerous to name them all, but I'm especially grateful to all the members of the business community and professional organizations who gave me their support, because without them, this surely would not be the victory that it is. If you would have told me 1 year ago today that I would be standing up here as Albuquerque's newest city councilor, I would have run to the nearest carbon monoxide detector and checked the batteries. The idea of an everyday PTA mom deciding to run for public office may be far-fetched to some, but people have become increasingly frustrated with the current state of our hyperpolarized political climate and are seeking a return to a common-sense democracy. My election marks a historical moment on Albuquerque City Council. For the first time ever, Albuquerque's council is composed by a majority of female councilors. Women are increasingly accepting roles in public service, and why shouldn't we? We are natural-born leaders. We are predisposed with empathy and compromise that allows us to build coalitions and bring forth the common sense back to government. We can all agree that Albuquerque has a long and rich history of being a melting pot and for many proud cultures. Our beautiful city is located along the mighty Rio Grande River and stretches to the majestic Sandia Mountains, over the sloping hills of the West Mesa and down to the colorful bosque of our North and South Valleys. I'm proud to say that I was born in this great city. I've never moved, I've never left. I'm raising my family here. I was the recipient of a high-quality education in both private and public schools by highly qualified educators. As a young adult, I grew up working for my family's businesses, and I learned firsthand the struggles of building sales while making payroll. When I graduated high school, I continued my college education in Albuquerque while working in both the public and private sectors. It instilled in me the value of making good hard work, and the importance of being a member of a team in order to affect results. Soon after completing my college education and getting my degree in criminal justice, my husband and I were married and quickly blessed with 4 of the greatest children on God's earth. I spent the last decade working at my labor of love as the Bassan household CEO. Too often, stay-at-home moms are not recognized for their invaluable service they provide their families and their community. It's a job that pays no salary, offers no 401k or medical benefits. There's no paid sick leave, or really any breaks of any kind. But running a household does give a woman the greatest gift of all. It gives her the gift of being a mother, a wife, a neighbor, and a member of the community. So when a group of friends asked me if I would consider representing them on Albuquerque's city council, all I could do was laugh. Surely they were joking or they were teasing me. What qualifications does a PTA stay-at-home mom have to be a public servant? But months later, when the same friends plus more came back and asked me if I would represent their voice in city government, I realized that being an average resident in Albuquerque is exactly what makes me qualified to represent the people in District 4 and the greater metropolitan area. I remember growing up in an Albuquerque that was safe for a child to walk to school, one where the gorgeous city parks belonged to the community and was a safe haven for family gatherings and where children could play on safe playgrounds where they laughed and enjoyed themselves. The Albuquerque I grew up in had safe streets that were attractive to visitors and residents alike. The Albuquerque I love is full of businesses that thrive in an orderly environment free of the constant victimization by criminals who know that there are little to no consequences for their behavior. While knocking on doors and speaking with the residents of Albuquerque time and time again, I heard pleas for a return to this normalcy. Neglecting the city, the cycle of poverty, and destructive power of drug addiction has led Albuquerque to become one of the most dangerous cities in America. One of the most dangerous cities in America. This is completely unacceptable, and it should be the focus of all of our political leaders until the plague is effectively brought under control. Unfortunately, many of Albuquerque's residents are lost deep within the grip of severe drug addiction, causing their every thought to be controlled by the desire to get another fix. We as a society must let every and each one of them know that help is available. Our city, county, and state governments must focus on making drug treatment and mental illness health services easily available to anyone who needs it. We must provide harm reduction strategies. We must prioritize harm reduction strategies that bring those suffering with mental health disorders into a system of treatment and recovery. Once individuals begin their journey to recovery, they will require many more services other than just a warm bed to sleep in. Those fighting the battle to change their lives will need services to help them with basic activities of daily living, such as obtaining a driver's license, creating a resume, receiving job training, applying for gainful employment, and even transportation to their new job. These are simple services the city of Albuquerque can provide to those looking to make a new life for themselves. And to those criminals who refuse to stop preying upon the good people and businesses of Albuquerque, we will send them a message that the time of no consequences is over. We will no longer accept being their victims. Instead, we will empower our police by providing them the tools they need to effectively enforce the laws. That means more boots on the ground and fewer officers behind desks. We will provide our first responders the wages they need to attract quality recruits and retain our most experienced and effective officers. This is my priority as a city councilor, and I will work tirelessly with the other legislators on both sides of the aisle to bring crime down in Albuquerque. I love Albuquerque. That's why I never left. That's why I have my family here. And that's why I'm going to work for the businesses located right here in this great city. I want each and every one of us to be free to live happy, safe, and prosperous lives for the betterment of us all. We have great challenges, but also an unlimited potential for coming together to overcome any obstacle. Thank you again to everyone who has believed in me. I promise to make right by you. I pledge to represent each and every one of you, regardless of your backgrounds or beliefs. Let's all work together to move Albuquerque forward to achieve its entire potential. Thank you.
Congratulations, and I'm not sure, I think I may have been remiss to not say that Councilor Bassan would be sworn in by Honorable Miles Hanisee, Chief Judge of New Mexico Court of Appeals. Next up, we have City Councilor Pat Davis. He was elected to a second term for District 6, and he is accompanied by his partner, Christopher McQueen. Councilor Davis will be sworn in by the Honorable Stan Whitaker, Chief Judge of the Second Judicial Court.
Place your hand on the Constitution and repeat after me. I, Patrick Davis,
I, Patrick Davis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution
to uphold the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the State of New Mexico.
of the State of New Mexico.
I furthermore
Do
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially,
impartially,
and sincerely
and sincerely
perform my duties
perform my duties
as a public servant
as a public servant
of the people of the City of Albuquerque,
of the people of the City of Albuquerque,
New Mexico,
New Mexico,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Have you sign first and then
Sure. I want to read mine anyway. Thank you, Ethan. We'll use that. We'll use your big book for that. Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you very much. Thank you for putting up with us a little bit tonight and hearing our long speeches. I promise this one won't be any worse than the others. Running for office is sort of the longest and most exhausting job interview anyone ever conceived of. For what amounts to basically part-time pay and 24 on-call scheduling, we spend months in late-night town halls and early Saturday morning neighborhood canvasses, all for a job you could never possibly predict or be fully ready to do, and all to work on issues that you never ran to office to even talk about, much less have to vote on in the first place. But no matter how strange this entire process is for all of us, whoever designed it made sure that this was a process you couldn't do on your own. The long list of volunteers, $5 donors, unpaid advisors, canvassers, and supporters would take hours to read. And there's at least one more politician behind me with another long speech, so I won't do the whole list. But there are a few individuals that I want to give some special recognition to. The first among them, of course, is Christopher. Chris has been my partner for a number of years and my most patient and sage advisor through all of this. I love you very much, and I'm forever grateful that you include me and let me engage in all these crazy whims and crazy ideas and campaigns that I come up with. I appreciate it very much. Our dogs and our cat are particularly excited that you at least come home for dinner on a regular time when I don't, and we appreciate that very much. Somewhere out there in the lights that I can't see is also a fabulous campaign manager that I can mention. Nettie Holguin is a dynamic professional. She's a great strategist and one of the best campaign managers in town. We got so used to our 3 times a day phone calls that the day after the election, we both called each other in the morning and had absolutely nothing to say, but didn't know what else to do. I am so grateful to have the opportunity to work with Nettie and Brandon and her whole team again this year. It's not often that we get the chance to do that, but I want to say thank you to Nettie, wherever you are out there somewhere. Hi, way back in the back. Thank you. Thank you. It's not often that workers get a chance to vote on their boss, right? That's a little scary prospect for a lot of us. But I do have to say that I appreciate very much that when it came to the city's workers and the city's workers organizations like AFSCME, IFF, who stepped up and got to decide they wanted to get involved in these races, that they universally chose to back me. And that says an awful lot about them and about our partnership and about our shared vision for where we ought to take our city and how much we should invest and continue to work for our workers. And I want to say thank you to all of our city workers who stepped up to help to do that work. Over the past few years, I've been fortunate to build a long list of friends and allies, maybe not quite as long as Brooks, who served as sort of a kitchen cabinet for me, helping us figure out what to do next and navigate some of the neighborhood politics that come with a job like this. Kathy McGill, Khadija Asili, Tony Johnson, Pete Boletto, Ali Sanchez, Aaron Engelbrecht, Enrique Cardiel, Brian Ortiz, Gary Eister, Adrian Carver, Carmi Toulouse, Alex Horton, and many, many more are certainly all included on that list. And I want to say thank you to you all for all that you've done for us and for all these support and the work that we're doing to continue to move our neighborhoods forward. Of course, not a single one of us at the City Council could get anything done at all without our amazing staff. When you step back to think about it, it's a crew of about 20 folks that help the 9 of us look smarter and better than we really are. They take the time to help us figure out how to respond to the needs of almost 600,000 residents in the city of Albuquerque, 6,000 workers in more than a dozen city departments. They keep all that going and keep an eye on it at all, and then put our names on the best things that happened, and like we did it all, the work. They are an absolutely amazing crowd, and we're so blessed to have all of them. A lot of them are sitting over there, and so I want to acknowledge and say thank you to all of you who give up your time and your nights with us to do that. Chief amongst our staff for me and for Chris is Sean Fran, who's been my policy analyst from day one. He's been the man responsible for returning most of your messages, answering most of your constituent issues, calling directors, bugging the mayor's office, doing all those things that it takes to run a city council office. But he's also one of those unique policy analysts who has the opportunity, the wherewithal, and the intelligence to really dig into legislative issues. And he's really the force behind a lot of our city's clean energy legislation, and for city workers who care, the man who actually wrote our city's family leave policy earlier this year. And although he and his wife, Jackie, couldn't be with us tonight for a family issue, he and Jackie and their kids, Theo, and Juniper, have become family to Chris and I could not absolutely do it without them, and I'm glad they're going to take this journey with us one more time. So please extend a thank you to Sean for me as well. You know, our recent election was really sort of a referendum on where our city is going, right? In each race, some outside group or some candidate took time to try to talk about all of the missteps of the past or bad headlines of the moment. Voters really had a question to answer. Is this the team that I want leading our city forward, and do they have the right idea? As Councilor Winter alluded to earlier, and I heard him talk about on the radio yesterday, in each of those races, voters went up and down the list, but every time they got behind the candidate who was engaging on a positive vision, bold agendas, looking at opportunities to take advantage of things that are coming down the pike that make our city better, and not dwelling on the problems or the issues of the past. Albuquerque is a top 30 American city. It's a big city, and we share the same challenges as every other big city in the country. Some issues in spades, some a little less than others, but we share those issues of a modern American city like all others. In Albuquerque, we're finally getting past the time of putting our head in the sand, hoping somebody else will fix it, pointing fingers at Santa Fe or D.C. and hoping they'll do something that we're not willing to do. And we're tired of pointing fingers in the past. This is our time, it's our city, and we're doing something about it. And that's what the people on this stage are here about. That's what our campaigns were about. That's what knocking on all those doors early on Saturday mornings were all about. Just this month, 2 years ago, we worked with the mayor to add $8 million for new housing opportunities that took 800 people off of our streets into supportive housing opportunities through family and community service grants in our community. And just this month, working with the mayor's office and family and community service, we added $2 million more that are going out through nonprofits in our community to house hundreds more in the supportive housing services they need. We've raised the entry pay for bus drivers, 911 call takers, security guards, these are all the blue-collar workers that make our city work. And reversing the brain drain that we heard about in the first half of the last decade, new census, as Ike alluded to, new census and Fed data now show us that 3,600 millennial college grads have come back to Albuquerque investing in what we're doing here and building an entire new economy, including a lot of the folks that are responsible for bringing back the more than 24 new businesses we opened in the last 2 months in Nob Hill on Central Avenue alone. There's still more to do, and solving issues of homelessness and policing and economic development, they're not just the mayor's to solve. As I said before, in a city of just more than 500,000 people, there are just 10 of us, a mayor and 9 councilors, who have the power and the mandate to go do what needs to be done to make it work. Those of us in these roles have the extraordinary privilege of going behind the scenes to see what works and what doesn't, to watch our city workers toil and try and do what they do. And we share a responsibility to shine a spotlight on those folks and the community volunteers and hardworking departments that are truly making our city better. We also share a responsibility to hold each other accountable to doing the right thing and taking the hard conversations when we do something not up to our best potential. That's why I'm proposing in our new council that we bring back and install a permanent public safety committee at the city council, giving our city a monthly opportunity to have a conversation about what's working, what's not, how many officers are on our streets, what programs are working, and what money needs to be invested and how we can reorganize. There's a lot we can be proud of in public safety. In spite of the rough start with police reform and DOJ, today, our APD models for crisis negotiation and community policing have been now called national models by the DOJ Monitor. Did you know that? Other police departments are coming to Albuquerque to see how we're doing those pieces. And in just the past 2 years, we invested in hiring almost 200 new police officers. Everyone walked in the door ready to wear a camera and wanting to engage in community policing that was more about solving problems than making arrests. A new city, here's just one example, yeah. Here's a couple of really quick examples. Look, in Southeast Albuquerque and Area Command, law enforcement assisted diversion in partnership with Bernalillo County, somewhere in that light is Commissioner O'Malley. In law enforcement assisted diversion is allowing police officers, when they encounter addicted offenders, to take them directly to county and taxpayer funded treatment programs instead of to jail. A program we worked on with our CAO, Ms. Nair, who I don't think is here with us tonight, Commissioner Hart Stebbins, Julie Morgus-Baca, the county manager, and my city council office put $150,000 in city housing vouchers out at the jail and in our reentry resource center. Partnered with what the county was already doing to provide drug treatment and counseling starting in jail, not just when you get out. Our jail system is the first in the country to ensure that no one walks out the door homeless or without access to health care. That's changing the dynamic of how we deal with criminal justice and homelessness in our city, and we should be proud of that. I say all that to say that we're doing a lot that's really good, but really back in our neighborhoods, we're also doing things that are changing the dynamic. In our own South San Pedro neighborhood in the International District, a few months ago, Khadija and some of the volunteers and literally folks living in our parks got together and decided they wanted to do something and weren't going to wait on the government to do it. And so they went around for a week and signed up 100 unhoused and at-risk community members in the International District, triaged them for services, and then literally called the governor's office and my office and the mayor's office and brought Workforce Solutions, the Department of Health, our services, Family and Community Services, out to their park and got 50 people, birth certificates and state IDs that allowed them to sign up for job training services and health programs and housing right there on the spot. That's changing our neighborhoods. One neighborhood over in the Trumbull neighborhood, Bernalillo County and Commissioner O'Malley wanted to extend an offer to create a new housing option like tiny home villages. And all across the city, we said we need something like this for that particular segment of the community, but we couldn't find anywhere to house it. Until the Albuquerque Indian Center stepped up and said, we have a different idea. We're already serving these people. They're living on our streets. They're living in our community. They're coming and asking us for help. We want to provide a service. Today, in partnership with Bernalillo County, we're building a tiny home village to house 40 of those people right there in the Trumbull neighborhood. And then the Trumbull neighborhood stepped up and said, for non-native folks and folks that aren't eligible, we're going to build a compassion center. And so they went out and partnered with us in APS and brought one of those old APS portables to the church lot. They got the neighborhood to get donations. They signed up a doctor to provide services, somebody to do job training, and created their own homeless service center right there in the heart of the International District to take care of people in need. That's the dynamic that's happening in our city that we don't see in the headlines at 6 o'clock or on the front page of the paper. But it's those investments in people, in our neighborhoods, and our city workers that are paying off that will change and make our city better. At the end of the day, and I hope you've noticed in each of those examples, it's not just the mayor or the city council. It's everybody working together, breaking down those silos, getting out and doing our part. I'm incredibly proud of the work we've done on the city council. With Councilor Benton, we passed our first renewable energy standards, started putting solar on city libraries and the zoo, and then the mayor came in behind us and using that framework and went tenfold over to make Albuquerque now one of the first cities in the country on the path for 100% clean energy by 2030. Bottom of the list to the top when it comes to leadership. Councilor Peña, I want to say thank you to you for a moment I'll always remember, because after you and I helped to pass our immigrant-friendly legislation, we were able to take a dozen undocumented and documented immigrants and their children into City Hall, march them to the 11th floor in the mayor's office, and some of those moms cried watching the mayor sign that piece of legislation that guaranteed their rights in the city of Albuquerque and their right to simply come to city council and ask for help. Whether you believe in that law or not, the fact is, we took on that tough issue at the city council with the respect and dignity that it deserved. And that's how I know we're on the right track. So while all those politicians in D.C. and Santa Fe can't stand to be in the same room with each other, some of you may not know that we make time during or after every meeting for all 9 of us and all of our staff to sit down and have dinner so that we have a chance to catch up on everybody's, as we used to get updates on Ken's granddaughter's basketball schedules and everybody's kids and grandkids and who's going on vacation in their new RV and where everybody's doing. And it humanizes and personalizes the struggles that we get to have. And although I've never seen a TV camera I didn't like, it's rare for us to use that gotcha moment or use the spotlight when it comes to a tough vote. I'll wrap up by saying this. Looking ahead to the next decade in our city, it's clear to me that this is going to be a lot different. We lost 2 long-serving counselors. Losing Ken and Brad and Brad's retirement means a lot to us. They were more than just long-serving counselors. They were our rock. They were the ones who knew how to navigate. They knew how the system worked, how to use their influence, and they knew the value of letting someone else lead when it was important. As I look ahead, I hope we can live up to their very high standards. They've been the personification of exemplary public service from the very beginning. And so Ken and Brad have set the standard you should all judge us by. As we're thinking about what we do next, ask us, and we should be asking, have we made you proud? Have we empowered our residents to serve each other? Did we put aside the petty fights in favor of the big picture? And are we leaving our city a little better than we found it? Looking ahead to this new council and this new decade, I'm more hopeful than ever that we are exactly on that right track. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be back and help to finish that job. Thank you.
Next, we have Councilor Trudy Jones. She was reelected to her 4th term in District 8. Councilor Jones is accompanied by her husband, John Henderson III, and will be sworn in by Judith K. Nakamura, Chief Justice of the New Mexico Supreme Court.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Trudy E. Jones,
I, Trudy E. Jones,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution
to uphold the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the State of New Mexico.
of the State of New Mexico.
I furthermore do
I furthermore do
solemnly swear
that
I will faithfully,
impartially,
and sincerely
and sincerely
perform my duties
as a public servant
of the people
of
the City of Albuquerque,
New
Mexico,
New Mexico,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I know you're all very happy to see me because I am the last speaker this evening. So good evening. And it's been an honor to serve the City of Albuquerque for the past 12 years. I'm honored to have been reelected to another 4-year term. That adds up to 16 years, and I will be very old by the time this is over. So I'd like to thank the many amazing people who were instrumental in our success in this campaign. All of the volunteers who knocked on doors, made phone calls, and helped to get out the vote. It was humbling to see the number of people from all over the city, from different political philosophies and varied economic circumstances, all ages and backgrounds, and city council districts, and non-city citizens. who came out to support me and to make this victory possible. I'm especially grateful to Marcy and Peter Hackett, who I am convinced did not sleep in the final 3 weeks of this campaign. They were absolutely amazing, so thank you. I can't begin to name all the people who helped, but I thank each and every one of you who were there for me. Campaigns are great, and that we get to connect with those we serve. We get to listen to the hopes and concerns of citizens, debate the issues before them, and to explain to them what we intend to do in office, and ultimately to ask for their support. As I reflect on my time on council and look forward to new goals in this term, I think of all the people who make it possible for counselors to achieve their goals. The entire staff at Council Services provide counselors with everything we need to do our jobs. For the hundreds in the city departments who provide information and support to the counselors. And of course, the very special people who go the extra mile to lead the charge and provide invaluable support. My policy analyst, Aziza Chavez, who is in here somewhere, Aziza, she is the heart and the soul of my council office. She is the one who the constituents go to for help because she is efficient and fair and gets things done. Thank you, Aziza, for the myriad of duties you perform with kindness and compassion. And Aziza, I especially thank you for your patience with me. I am pleased that she will be continuing these next 4 years with me. I am grateful for all my fellow counselors. We work together to try to do good things to make our city better. I will miss my friend and my fellow counselor, Brad Winter, who has provided knowledge and support and friendship to me. And of course, my dear friend and amazing supporter, Councilor Sanchez. I miss him dearly. But the most important person, my greatest cheerleader, supporter, and best friend, my husband, John Henderson. Thank you. This would not be possible. This would not be possible without his amazing support. During my time in this office, we have prioritized public safety and quality government services. We've made a concerted effort to provide funds to our police and fire departments to ensure the community safety for our officers. I am proud to have partnered with Councilor Sanchez to pass legislation to purchase the new APD helicopter, which they so desperately needed. This purchase, plus numerous others that I have championed for both police and fire, provide vital equipment and working conditions to ensure that our officers have the best and most reliable tools and the safest environment to assist them in reducing crime and in creating safety in Albuquerque. I am very proud to say that I was endorsed by the Albuquerque police officers. That was an unsolicited endorsement and came at a great surprise, and I cherish their support every day. As we continue in office, we will continue to prioritize community and governmental services that improve the quality of life for all of our citizens. I will push to address the need for repair and maintenance of our city facilities. This one hasn't been mentioned, but many of our buildings need new roofs, new mechanical systems, upgraded plumbing and electrical, and standard safety requirements. Our people work in these facilities. We need a thorough assessment of the physical condition of each of our facilities that we can plan, budget, and make the repairs and major improvements that most efficient and cost-effective manner to protect our assets and our taxpayers' money. It is much less expensive to maintain a property than it is to have to tear it down and rebuild. Looking ahead, we will continue to focus on reducing crime and increasing public safety. I'll continue to work with Mayor Keller, Police Chief Geyer, and Fire Chief Paul Dow to ensure that they have what they need for our officers and firefighters, providing them the resources and equipment to keep our community and our officers safe. Addressing crime must be our priority moving forward. I will work to keep it at the forefront. In order to properly fund our crime fighting, we must be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. It's all too easy to throw money at every problem, but I believe we must prioritize our government spending. We are ultimately putting more of a burden on our local businesses. A very important way to fight crime is by creating a city full of opportunities for everyone. And that means growing jobs and growing income for our citizens. Albuquerque must be competitive with other cities, because the truth is, we're in a global economy, and businesses and jobs can go wherever they want, wherever they find the conditions that are most conducive to their businesses being successful. The more difficult we make it for small businesses to grow, the less they will grow. The more unattractive we make the city for businesses looking to relocate, the more likely those businesses will end up in Denver, El Paso, Phoenix, or any number of our thriving neighbors. So to help create more jobs, we must be sure that we are promoting a business-friendly environment in Albuquerque in everything we do. We must strive for a level playing field where job creators are treated fairly by the city government. If we create a positive and fair business environment, there is no reason we can't be the best place in the Southwest to grow jobs for our children and our citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, we come here tonight from different backgrounds, different political philosophies, different economic strata, but I believe everyone in this room is sincerely committing to making Albuquerque a better place. And given that common commitment, I am optimistic that we will be able to choose progress over politics and make Albuquerque an even better place to live, work, and raise families. We need the support of all of our citizens. We must all become engaged and do the work it takes to make this the city we know it can be and the city we want it to be. So thank you. Thank you for re-electing all of us. And I must say, God bless all of you and this wonderful city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. I heard her say, I truly believe. It's contagious. I would like to thank all of those for their participation and support in making this ceremony a success. I want to also thank our council staff, our director, Stephanie Yara, all the council staff, Donna Montoya, Sandy, who is here volunteering this evening. Thank you for helping to make this a success. On behalf of the Albuquerque City Council, we all thank you for sharing this special evening with us, and I look forward to working with the first woman majority council, and the food stations are now open. Enjoy, and thank you all. Oh, thank you.
Hardest
Thank you.
Good job, Madam President.
It's been tough.
You got your way all through that.
I know, God bless.
Did you hear about this?